Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dad Batch podcast. This is our Andor spoiler review for the first 3 episodes, launching tomorrow at midnight, I believe. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on our Instagram at DadBatchPod, and you can also download our podcast on your favorite podcast app. Guys, so Disney and Lucasfilm invited us last Thursday to a special screening in Hollywood at the El Capitan Theater, where we got to watch the first 3 episodes of Andor. What did you guys think? John, let me start with you.
Oh man, I loved it. Loved it. I really, so before we went in and before we watched the show, I was thinking to myself, how are they going to explain Diego Luna's accent, because everyone in the show either has an American accent, an English accent, or some heavy Scottish accent. And I was thinking, how are they going to make that make sense? And it turns out he's from another planet that only speaks this different language.
Yeah, and
you go ahead, Remy.
Well, he's basically kidnapped by somebody who doesn't speak, and so he's instantly taken out of that planet's environment and to some other place where he doesn't speak the language and they don't speak his. And so, I mean, at that point, he's basically got us. And so I'm not surprised the accent would, of course, stay.
What was so smart about that, too, is it's the first time we've gotten a new language in Star Wars with no subtitles.
And yet, did you ever really wonder what they were saying? I think it was still like, you knew.
I feel like you could understand.
You got the vibe.
Yeah.
You understood without.
We didn't have the direct translation, but yeah, you're absolutely right, John. It totally explains his accent.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I love that because, Latino actors, for example, that are from a different country, from Mexico, they're going to have these accents, and it's a perfect way to bring them in without making a big deal about it. Like, it's just he had to learn English, or he had to learn basic, and so, he has the accent from his other language.
So speaking of his planet, let's start off, guys, with the first episode. We're introduced to his boyhood planet, right? What did you guys think of that?
Go ahead, Remy.
I mean, so kind of river jungle planet. So we've got that biome, and we see the ship crashing. So now I thought it was interesting because were there any adults in that village at all?
I think there were. Yeah. I think there were.
Not many.
There were some, ones that stayed behind. Yeah.
The hunting
there were more kids than adults.
The hunting party was definitely kids, right? And I mean, that was like Cassian's first time out with them. And so I think we're going to continue to learn about some of that, right? Like, what happened? Like, why are these kids all alone? Now, Cassian's been in this fight since he was 6 years old, but we see him and he's older than 6. So something happened before that we haven't seen yet.
Yes, I think my suspicion is that we're gonna, a la Din Djarin in season 1. I think we're gonna keep continuing these flashbacks throughout the season, and what Luthen mentioned in episode 3 about his dad getting hung. I think that is where we're gonna see him. Yeah, at the final I think episode 12 or episode 11 of the season, we're gonna see him at 6 years old. And we're going to see his dad getting hung.
And I think on the flip side of that, we're going to see him as the adult staring down the barrel of a gun at the person who, or at least the embodiment of what he thinks is responsible for that. Because there were 2 totally parallel storylines. Every beat for beat, everything we saw happen to him as an adult, they flashed back and we saw happen to him like something very similar as a kid. And I liked that storytelling mechanism. So.
Another one thing I noticed about his homeworld, it sort of reminded me of like an Amazonian tribe where they're sort of low tech. They had blow guns, weapons, no blasters. Yeah. So and they were, they see the ship come down and it's kind of like, woo, what's that? They're all kind of amazed, like, wow. And they go down to it and they're all with their blow darts ready to attack whatever comes up, and all that technology I think is sort of new to them. More than what they have natively on their planet, I guess, because
So
I didn't see much tech on there. Yeah.
So their planet was being mined by the Empire for its natural resources. And we see that it's at this point almost evacuated by the Empire because it's been ravaged. It's done.
Yeah.
It's
strip mined.
Been dug out.
Raimi, speaking of staring down at the barrel, what did you guys think about Cassian's first kill?
Yeah, I mean, you could tell like he was not happy about having had to do that. He was like I mean, he didn't even realize at first that in the fight he had killed that one guy, because the other guy rolls him over, and the guy's already dead, and Cassian's got this look on his face like, oh crap, what have I done?
Yeah.
And in the minutes that play after that, you can tell he's trying to like, how do I? Because the other guard
is
like,
control the situation,
pleading for his life. Like, listen, you and me, we're in on this together. Like I can make this disappear. If you walk away, I'll walk away. It was an
accident,
and it was And Cassian makes a decision that's not going to fly. And
he says, "I don't think so." And this is, I mean, it's funny to me. It might not be funny to anyone else, but I was the only person that clapped when he shot that guy. I was like, yes! And I looked around and everyone's just silent. I was like, oh man.
I think that's the moment. I think that's the moment as an audience that we knew that this is a different show, right?
I mean, that was pretty, I mean, they don't show, what happens to the guy, but it's pretty brutal. Yeah, he points it right at his head and he pulls the trigger, and you see the flash go off, and
he executes the guy. You see, but in Rogue One, he has that conversation with Jyn, right? Like he's like, we've all done terrible things.
And not only that, he did it in Rogue One too.
Okay,
he did, but by then it's not.
By then he was a hardened rebel.
It's not as emotional for him. You could tell that this changed him. Something
hit him hard.
Something in him broke when he had to do that.
I think this
was. And he even said, like, I messed up.
I think this was done very intentionally. The first time that we're introduced to Cassian Andor in Rogue One is we're seeing him kill a man. The first time that we're introduced to Cassian in Andor, he's killing a man, but we're seeing the difference in circumstances.
Outside of a brothel. Yeah. Outside of a brothel.
It's just experience. Yeah.
Okay, so Star Wars brothels, is this the first time we've seen a brothel in Star Wars?
I feel like Jabba's palace kind of has that vibe with the women chained up.
Yeah,
but even though they don't,
like some of the stuff in Episode 2, even where like I think when they crash down in the Coruscant, like the girls are trying to talk to Anakin, and they've come close to this, but I think this is the first time we've straight up seen.
I think this might be the first time that I have to. I don't know how I'm going to explain this to my son if he asks. Like, what is this? Like, because they're straight up offering sex
pleasure.
At that point, right?
She's asking him what kind of girl he wants.
Right.
But right. I do think that the conversation was, like you watch cartoons and there's stuff in it that the kids don't get, and yet the adults are get it. Like, I think the dialogue was done in such a way that even like the scenes with her and the boyfriend, Bix and the boyfriend, like, I mean, she pulls her shirt off and stuff, right? Like, but it's all done in a way that I don't. If you don't know, you don't know. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't. So I don't think that your kid Steven certainly would not pick up on it. They would just be like, oh, whatever. Maybe
she's warm.
Maybe they think it was a bar or she's just
At one point, the cop inside of the brothel says, "Hey, I should be serviced first." But I think, I could just.
But that's a word. That's a word that's not going to mean anything to the little kids. So,
right.
But I don't think it was him saying, "I need my pleasure first." It was like saying, "No, we were here first. We attend to us first."
But at the same time, I'm like, "Wow, this is all new, right?"
Yeah. And that planet was amazing. That brothel planet. Yeah. It's straight. I mean, it put me into a Blade Runner mood. And even his blaster was sort of Blade Runner-y at one point,
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about that aesthetic. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So after that planet, we are introduced to what's essentially the antagonist of these first episodes, which is the police, right?
Yeah.
So these guys are like the local police department for the system. They answer to the Empire, but they're not
the Empire.
They're not necessarily Empire themselves.
Yeah, they said that they were a corporation. They said they were a corporate security firm, basically. So,
did you guys get Crispin Glover vibes from that officer a bit? Yeah,
yeah.
He's kind of like awkward and weird, and like everything he says was not hitting very hard. It was kind of like
he's very unsure of himself.
Yeah, like the pep talk he gave, the guys were just like, whatever, man. Let's just go do our job.
He's like a by the books, passionate, like almost fanatic, surrounded by people who don't get paid enough to give a rip. I mean, and you can just see it crushes his soul when his superiors basically saying, we are wasting our time. These guys shouldn't have even been there. You come up with a story to make this go away, and I don't want to hear about it again. And yet he keeps chasing it. And like, I mean, now we're going to see what happens after everything that happened as a result of that. That did not go well for him. That did not go well for him, and he's going to have to answer for that. So,
looked like it was going to cry at the end.
Yeah, So I think he's going to go back and try and like plead his case to. It's going to fall on deaf ears, and maybe the only people that actually are interested in what he has to say is the Empire.
Yep. Okay, so Bix, John, tell me what you thought about the character Bix.
I like her. I like her a lot. That's Adria Arjona's character.
Yeah.
I not that I was or wasn't a fan of hers before. I knew who she was. I know her father's a singer and stuff, but I'd never followed the actress before. But wow, I liked her in this. In these few episodes, I like that she's got Cassian's back, and that she's kind of not using the boyfriend, but kind of leveraging the boyfriend's feelings to get him to do, I don't know if it's favors or whatever, but do stuff for her while she goes and helps him. And I liked her. And she's not bad to look at either. So, yeah, I got to say hi to her at the premiere, which is cool.
Oh, that's lucky.
That was neat. Yeah.
Rami, what did you? Anything stand out for you?
I still dig Stellan Skarsgård's character and his wardrobe. He's got a good look. So
I just don't like how he says Andor.
Andor. And I love it.
It's no different than it's no different than Han versus Han.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Okay, well, speaking of Stellan Skarsgård, his character Luthen, I think was probably my favorite character out of the first 3 episodes. Complete professional badass. You can tell right away that Cassian's been doing this for 6 years, or however long.
Since he was 6 years. This dude's been around the block several times.
Luthen knows what he's doing. I mean, he enters that meeting spot.
That conversation they have. Yeah, it's like he's already schooling him on everything.
Yeah,
I think he got to like step 2 or 3 of how to be a spy in the first 5 minutes. Dude, just he is badass. When he was on the shuttle coming into the city, he's already like on guard, talking to this this old dude who's taking the shuttle with him.
Yeah,
I was listening very carefully to the words that he was choosing, and he's being very deliberate to not say where he's going or what he's doing in the city.
He didn't answer him straight at all.
He's a complete ghost.
Yeah. I mean, I was actually waiting to see if that guy actually did in fact turn out to be somebody that was milking him for information or had some kind of ill intent. And I would have been interested to see what his reaction would have been to that, but it would have been brutal.
Yeah.
Going back to Bix, I like that they introduced basically, so far she's our female lead in the show, right? I like that they were
another Latina.
Yeah, and I like that they introduced somebody that wasn't just immediately introduced as being like Cassian's potential love interest. I think it's safe to say like the two of them are not going to be involved with one another as like a couple in any way, shape, or form.
I don't know. Hold on.
You think so?
Because when they met up at the bar, he went to hold her hand like all tender, and she kind of accepted, and then was like, no, like shoot his hand away.
That's true.
As the boyfriend was spying on them, that's why he was like, I'm going to go and rat this dude out. Like, because he's super jealous, obviously.
Just took that I saw that, but I took all of that as just there's clearly some level of familiarity that they have. They've got some history, and I didn't know maybe she has the same background as him from the same planet or something. I don't know, but I don't know that we don't need a replacement for Jyn Erso in this,
right?
And I don't think they're going so far that it's
it's
her,
like
and then maybe at some point we find his sister who he's clearly looking for.
It's like a Kira to a Leia, like it's just a previous love interest maybe, or just before
maybe
the one we already know. I don't know.
I think,
but I felt like there might be a chance.
I think the main female that Cassian is interested in looking for is his sister at this point, and
that's so he's not interested in anything else.
Yeah. Speaking of his sister, so okay, when Cassian is taken away or quote unquote rescued from his planet as a boy, what happens to the rest of those kids? Because I mean, he's looking for his sister in a brothel.
Yeah, and it sounds like she was there.
The Empire, I assume the Empire comes and swoops them up and throws them, either in camps or work camps or trafficking or whatever, because that's. Apparently that's going on, if she's in a brothel, I'm sure that wasn't her first choice of employment, right. I'm sure she got, forced in there or something.
So who was the crew of the ship that had crashed? Was it Republic or?
I thought it was Republic.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be Empire, right?
Well, so he pulled something out of the ship that had an Imperial logo on it.
But that wasn't that ship. Wasn't it?
So the ship that crashed it's an Imperial science and research vessel, and so something happened on that ship. We don't know if it was an accident.
Someone shut them down, maybe.
We don't know if it was an accident or we don't know if it was an attack. But whatever they were working on that ship caused them all to basically get poisoned and suffocate. Right. But we do know it's an Imperial ship just by the visual language of the panel.
The paneling was
the aesthetic,
very Imperial.
And I'm pretty sure that that's where they're leading us to believe that's where Cassian basically discovers
his hatred for the Empire, maybe?
Well, that's where we discover his hatred for the Empire, but clearly it started way before that, right?
Yeah,
there's more to it,
where
right?
We see it for the first time.
So Cassian was his rescuers from that ship. I don't have the names here, but they were clearly there for a reason, which leads me to believe that they're the ones that maybe shot down that ship, because they were there to get resources and then leave.
And did you notice that the ship that they rescue him on and they fly him away on was the ship that he was living on in the scrapyard?
It was, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I didn't see that. That's cool.
Yeah. And I also liked the droid a lot. That weird looking segmented
B2
emo.
Yeah, B2 emo.
And there was some motion. There was motion on him in places where I wasn't expecting, like in those little internal rib sections. Like the corners were static, but there was almost like a central core that would spin.
There was a core that
would
spinning.
spin occasionally.
Yeah,
and he can.
But did you guys see the print lines on
oh
that?
My gosh, that's all I've been talking about with people all day long. Is like the print lines that were on it. Like, come on!
I couldn't. Like, is that intentional?
I don't know.
Or is it just laziness?
All I could think of is that maybe it wasn't expected that would be so visible on a TV screen versus
make that one.
Did Matt Martin make that one?
Wasn't it Matt Martin? I think he posted like, "Oh, there's my boy" or something.
Maybe he designed it, but I mean, he wouldn't have been the guy that made it. Made it.
But wow, yeah, those print lines in the core really, really threw me out of the moment because I was just like, "Whoa!" And those are really visible
in the sequences where you could see him before he was so weathered up. It was noticeable in places.
When he was clean,
it was noticeable on the outer panels there too. So it's just all of the texture on the older version of him hides that. But yeah, it was. Come on, guys, you're better than this.
Yeah, that pulled me out of it a little bit because I was just thinking, like my maker brain started clicking. I'm like, why are there print lines on this droid?
But to be fair, that's just us.
No, I'm sure everyone in that theater was saying, like, what the hell's going on? Why are there print lines on this high production?
The first thing Nick said to me today was like, what was with the print lines on the droid? And he's not. I know at least 4, probably 5, if we can go as far as an 8-foot rule, guys that could have done better cleaning that thing up.
I thought he was cool.
Definitely.
Honestly,
I liked it.
I'm gonna make it because I know that Michael Badley's working on the files already. I will.
But you got to add print lines.
Nope.
Well, you have to.
No.
It's canon.
No,
that's the droid. That's how he looks.
No, I'm making an idealized version of it. It's idealized. That's the word.
So he'll be B3 emo.
Yeah.
It is a cool design, though. I liked it.
Okay, so what did you guys think of the whole aspect of the attack, right? From the police corporation or whatever we're calling them?
Yeah, whatever, the riot cop guys.
I like the heavyset dude. He was like very enthusiastic and very into his job, and it's like, all right, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. All right, I don't know, I can't.
And he actually probably knew more about how to handle an operation like that than the main guy.
He
probably should have been in charge. Yeah,
he definitely commands the respect of his men more than the guy in charge.
Yeah,
definitely.
That was the world's least motivating speech I've ever heard.
But they've got the planet under siege, right? They've got their north team, their south team, east and west teams, and they're basically flanking. They're interrogating this town, but the town has a plan for that.
That was cool,
right? Everyone just starts hitting these bells.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
so they can communicate over long distances that, like, hey, something's about to go down.
Something's happening.
And then to see her in the room, like, so everybody's getting more and more tense, like, and this noise is just getting louder and more droning and that, and you can see the guards are getting nervous and that, and all of a sudden she's like, when you really need to worry is when it stops, and then it stops.
Yeah, and then it's like you could hear a pin drop. It's so quiet.
Yeah,
and like you can hear the guy had his gun and he like moved it across the roof, and that's all you could hear is like the noise the gun made across the
So Cassian's friend at the ship worker or at the junkyard workers, he's doing his thing. He chains up that ship.
He attached a cable to that ship. Yeah,
with some debris or whatever. Yeah,
and so that ship blows up. And now the cops are like, "Oh crap! What was that? What's going on?" We're under attack. Now they're like, "We're under siege, right?"
Yeah, it's a siege. So good. Yeah.
And then
he just freaked out at that point. Yeah.
So at that point, Luthen, he doesn't know how to get out of the situation. Well, no, actually, what happened before that was Cassian captured the guy in charge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gun to the back of his head.
Yeah, and Luthen's like, just kill him.
Yeah, shoot him.
At that point, I thought he was going to. At that point,
I mean,
I wouldn't put it past Cassian.
After what he'd already done, that one would have been more understandable.
So he interrogates him for a couple questions, like how many men do you have? We find out there's like 14, 12 plus 2 commanders,
12,
right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And then Cassian asks Luthen, right? How many charges does he have left?
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, we're already just in the first quote unquote mission that Luthen and Cassian are into. Luthen's already at not a disadvantage, but Cassian's already demonstrating his
ability.
They both brought skills to the equation in that, and they needed each other. Cassian had a familiarity with the area, which Luthen didn't have, but Luthen had the street smarts to kind of know some of the more strategic things to do. So,
now, did you guys expect them to be in that first speeder?
No.
No. I thought they were going to be in another speeder. The minute not the swoop.
Yeah, the minute he asked about the charges, I knew he would. I saw it coming at that point.
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised seeing a swoop bike.
So immediately I was like swoop, and also not only that, they already did something like this in Kenobi, where the one ship starts to take off, where Vader's like trying to pull it back down, and then he does and destroys, and then the other ship flies off. It's kind of the same thing, yeah. It's a misdirection. Yeah, they send the car out. I thought they were going to drive out in a different speeder. I thought there were 2 speeders there, So I'm like, oh, that one's a distraction, and then they're going to fly out with the other speeder. But they're on the swoop bike, and it brought me back to like Shadows of the Empire. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
love that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so guys, we haven't seen. Let's talk about the stuff that we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen the Senate. We haven't seen the Empire.
Nope.
We've only seen
No Mon Mothma.
We've only seen non-rebellion, non-Empire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no Saw Gerrera, no partisans yet.
Luthen's as close as we
thought
get
we'd
to
see a
it.
stormtrooper, but
Not even one. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, we're 3 episodes in and we haven't seen really anybody other than Andor.
I think that's on purpose. Well, it's on purpose because right now the stakes are really low. Like it's just him trying to get out. He killed 2 people. Crap, they're on to me. I got to get out of here. But it's not like these guys are they can handle them, like this police force or whatever. Like the whole town kind of teamed up a little bit, letting everyone else know, and they handled it and they took care of it. But I feel like the Empire is going to be a much bigger problem for them to figure out, and that's where maybe the rebellion comes in, and the Saw Gerrera and the partisans, and that they need to fight an equivalent force with what they're up against, rather than just a couple dudes and some villagers.
I think that it was really cool how Luthen, who's supposedly a part of this rebellion, was able to identify how skilled Cassian was, just by
of what he got,
just off of the piece that he got,
the item, right,
which is it's a star map, but it's still sealed. It's like, how do you even get that? I think we heard about that in the clip that they released, the
trailer or the extended clip,
but just that little piece is bringing Cassian into a much bigger world at this point.
Right.
Okay, guys, what are your hopes? What do you hope to see in this series?
If they can do with Mon Mothma what they've already done with Cassian, I'm in. And
I think she's going to be a breakout for sure.
I'm
she's
looking
going to do
forward
well.
to seeing what they do with her. So,
John,
I want to see. I want to know where his sister is, and see if she turns out to be a badass, or she might be fronting as a escort or whatever, and she's actually she might be something else, or who knows,
an Imperial spy.
Oh man, what if
that got brought up too?
What if she's on the other side?
Oh,
the thought of that.
Yeah. Because maybe the Empire picked her up, and they're like, "Hey, we could use your."
She'd have the
cool
same set of skills that
abilities.
Cassian does, right?
You would think, right?
Oh man, I hope that we see. Larger explanations of the Empire. I mean, technically, Thrawn is around at this point, and while I know that this production isn't connected to The Mandalorian and those other productions with Ahsoka and all that, it would be kind of cool to see like a little hint of Thrawn, I think.
It would be.
Like an Easter egg. Like, show me his hand on a counter or something.
Him and Eli Vanto.
Yeah. Something like that. And then I'm hoping that we see some connections with Rebels. Like the Rebels crew. So we'll see.
Or even some of the extended Rebels characters. Like, who was the guy that they were often? He was a bit of a thug. Had the
you guys Hondo?
No. Had the horns. One of them was broken. He was on Lothal. He was a bit of a thug, but like never gave them a hard time. Other than
I don't remember.
I can't think of his name now. Well,
you know what's funny is that you
or Agent Callus, maybe.
You mentioned Lothal. I mean, when we're introduced to Lothal and Rebels, the Empire has kind of like just been there recently, just arrived, which is essentially what they're going to be doing to what they did to Cassian's planet. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Oh,
there are a lot of parallels. Yeah,
I love the show. For me, it started off strong. It's getting better. I was fortunate enough to have a quick interaction with Tony Gilroy. And he mentioned that the show, what we saw is we haven't seen anything yet. So he was very.
We got 9 episodes left on this season, yeah. So
Yeah. And then we got a season 2 with 12. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, it's also cool. Like they did this with the Solo movie a bit. It's like there's no Jedi, there's no lightsabers so far, but this story is not going to be that story. It's going to be regular people, I guess, basically becoming radicalized due to the Empire. And it's like there's no special powers, there's no abilities. It's just people, and people that are watching the show might be able to relate to these characters more because they are going through things that are not so extraordinary. They're actually more ordinary, a loss of a family member or being orphaned or something like that, rather than gaining a force ability or something, or constructing a lightsaber, that type of thing. So I like that.
Well, that pretty much does it for us, guys. That was our spoiler review. I think we're going to be continuing. I don't know if we're necessarily going to do an episode review every week, but we're definitely going to be talking about it on the podcast. So if you like what we do, please listen to us on our main show, the Dad Batch podcast. You can also check us out on YouTube, where we've got different things on there, different videos on there, like unboxings or episode reviews. Also, give us a good review on your podcast app, or leave a comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube. And you can also email us questions at dadbatchpod@gmail.com. You can follow me, Stevie Kicks, on all the socials. Raimi, where can people find you?
thedadbatch.com.
And John, where can people find you?
Alpha Ignition.
All right. Sorry, Tech. Sorry, Crosshair. Wish you were there. Thank you again, everybody. And remember, until next time, enjoy your spice responsibly.